Good afternoon, good evening, Castle Hill, good afternoon, Facebook. It's Alex Hall of Alex Hall at Realty. And today I'm just going live really quickly to talk to you about the question of clutter and how to deal with it if you've got it in your world. Now, I'm talking about this topic because recently I've had the privilege of helping a really good friend of mine clean up stuff in and around his house. And some people don't have a problem with this, and that's because they're really neat and clean all the time. And if you're like that, my hat goes off to you. But for other people, keeping their place and indeed their world clean and tidy and in order can be a real challenge. And if it goes on long enough, it can reach the point where they look at the mess in their world, in their house, and they start to think, I'll never get through this. And eventually it reaches the point where they think it just can't be done and they give it up. So if you're in that situation, the first thing that I'd like to say to you is, first of all, it can be beaten. I was going to call this the lie of clutter, because after a while it's as if you've got enough stuff in your world, it's as if the clutter has a voice, and it's if it says to you, you'll never beat me. But it's a lie. And like a lot of things in this world, if you attack it head on, the mere fact that you've started and you refuse to give up means that you're well and truly on the way to getting it done. Now, I should say there are two basic methods of decluttering. One is what I would call the cheater's guide to decluttering, and that is packing up the mess, stacking it in neat piles rather that are not really sorted out, but at least they're neat and tidy, and maybe packing it away in cupboards or sticking in the garage. Now, in the short term, that will work. So if, my dear listeners, you happen to be about to go on the market and you've got an open home coming up, I'm just getting the mail as we speak, so I thought I'd use this opportunity to speak to you all. It's better than nothing, because sticking something in the cupboard so that people don't see a mess the first thing they walk in the door, it's better than nothing. And you'll find, if you're like me, a lot of the time you might have piles and piles of papers and stuff that can look really disorganised if you're in an office or something and you've got work everywhere. And so it might take a while if you're actually going to sort it properly. So, rather than just leave it and say, oh, well, it can't be done, it's a good idea to just stack it up into a neat pile and just put it into the edge, into the corner somewhere, so that it looks as though it is at least in order. Now, that's not permanent, but it's better than nothing. But what do you do to avoid it all the time? Because you walk into some houses, they are just absolutely clean with a capital C. So how do they get to that point? Well, the answer is systemization. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means they know where everything goes, and they have a system of putting things in their place all the time. So if they wash the clothes, instead of just leaving them in the basket to dry, or to be ironed rather, they iron them and they put them away in designated places in their wardrobe. If they get papers, from the mail or whatever, instead of merely just stacking it on the desk, they have actual files for it and they put it away, so they know where to put things. Now, the advantage of doing this is that once you've got this system set up, it's much easier to follow because you know where things go. Now, all this might sound relatively simple, and I realise that if you're in the position where you've got boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff that you just don't know what to deal with, some of you might need help, and if that's the case, there are people who can help you with that stuff. But I wanted to talk to you about this because I think it's an analogy for me of how some people live their lives. Some people are really clean around their house because they're really ordered in their world. Some people can be messy in their house because their life is a little bit messy. Now, I don't say that to judge you if that's you. Quite the reverse. I say this because I want to suggest that there is hope. Once you recognise that the lie of clutter is exactly that, and you're able to attack it head on and put some systems into place and get some help from people if you need it, you will quickly find that you can get rid of these problems far more easily and far more dramatically and far more effectively than you might have dared hope. But anyway, I hope you found that helpful. As always, if you did find it helpful, feel free to leave me a comment and feel free to pass this on if you think this is going to help anyone you know. But for now, this is Alex Hall of Alex Hall Realty signing off and wishing you a fantastic rest of the week.